What does it mean to reclaim Māoritanga from a Pākehā upbringing? This is the premise of Isaac Martyn's comedy show, He Māori, showing at Bats Theatre in Wellington this weekend and at Te Pou Theatre in Auckland next week. Martyn weaves together elements of stand-up comedy, waiata and theatrical performance to explore the complicated nature of identity. Mā taki mai.
Is he Māori? He Māori ia? What is Māori? Am I saying it right? Māori. 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 People don't say I look the part. What part? I know I'm 1/16th, but which part? A finger? Will my Māori certificate come in the mail when I reach 2,000 kupu? Is whakapapa enough? What if I don't know where my marae is? Will I do my tipuna brown? Am I an imposter? Am I brown enough? What do I do on a marae? Can I speak for Māori friends? Why am I saying bro? Does anyone care?
Hey, He Māori aho, I don't know. Oh ah, oh ah, oh ah, oh ah.
Comedian performer Isaac Martyn no tūwhare toa Te Aroa is with us now from Te Whanganui a Tara. Tēnā koe, Isaac. Thanks for joining us.
Tēnā koe, Neil. Thanks for having me.
You've already had 2 sellout seasons in Wellington. Talk us about your show and why you feel it seems to be striking the right chord with audiences.
I had a real successful last couple of seasons. It's a solo autobiographical show, so all about kind of my life the last few years, reclaiming Māoritanga and me and my whānau as well. And I think even though it's quite specific to like my story, my life, it just seems to hit a note in terms of identity and being caught in between 2 worlds in this, colonial land that we live in. And I've found like lots of people are related to it, even people not exactly like me, even people who aren't Māori have found something from it, which has been wonderful.
Yeah, I suspect a lot of people can connect with the story, but what was your upbringing like?
So I grew up in the North Shore of Tamaki, and it was pretty devoid of te ao Māori. Like there were like little flashes here and there, and I kind of talked about it with my whānau a little bit, and I always knew that we were Māori, but I didn't think we counted, if that made sense. I didn't think we, should go around saying that we are. And that changed quite a lot when I went to university in Otago and just decided to take a te reo Māori paper and found that there were a lot of other people like me, and regardless of how they'd grown up or where they come from or what age they were, there's a lot of people going on a similar journey of reclaiming and re-understanding Māoritanga.
And who they are. Isaac, what can the audience expect to experience at your show, and how are you challenging people's notions of identity?
I think can expect to laugh about it. It's often a pretty tough subject to bring up in general, but I try to really bring out how absurd it is and how funny some of these concepts are. Being colonized and a colonizer, being Pākehā and Māori is quite contradictory, and also some kind of release in terms of like knowing you're not alone with all these questions, or even if you aren't Māori, questions about what it means to be Māori and like who counts and is there such a thing as being Māori enough? Those are the kinds of things you can expect.
And some great questions, I'm sure more than a few people will be asking themselves at different times. He Māori is described as a comedic musical exploration into the absurdity of being both a colonised and coloniser in Aotearoa, New Zealand. What does that mean to you, and how do you pursue this narrative in your show?
So I definitely feel that kind of every day in my life, like operating in different spaces. Particularly, I basically always lived in a city in Aotearoa, Auckland, Wellington, Dunedin, and I find that I tend to kind of switch in and out of these two sort of personalities, and my kind of when I'm feeling more Māori and when I'm feeling more Pākehā. And yeah, so I kind of externalize that with the show and turn it into like these ridiculous characters and like exaggerations of this feeling and of these experiences.
And being able to do it in such a way is very smart. Where to from here? What's next? Because you're also heading to Tāmaki Makaurau next week.
Yeah, so going to Te Pau Theatre for their Kuanga Festival from the 20th to the 23rd of September, which is such an honour. I'm really excited. There's also just so many other things there happening in that festival, which are awesome. Lots of new Māori writers and work. And yeah, I think being able to do it in a Māori kaupapa space and also in the city I grew up in feels like a huge homecoming. So that I'm really looking forward to, first of all. Yeah.
Right, as I said, I think more than a few people will be interested in this kind of narrative because it's where they have come from, but so glad that you've been able to connect with that Māori side. Comedian, performer Isaac Martyn, thank you so much for joining us today and all the best for the rest of your season of He Māori. Tēnā koe.
Ngā mihi.